My mom's caramel. Hey everyone, it's day 8. We are gonna do a quick Q&A. Justin's gonna be answering the questions. I'm gonna be asking them, and we hope that this is really helpful and has some clarification in it. If not, ask questions in the comments, and Justin will do his best to field them.
Yep.
Because we want everyone to understand what it is that we're doing and what it is that we're asking for. So I'm gonna turn the camera to this guy. So first question is,
well, first of all, let me clarify. One of the reasons that we did this is that we've had so many people just today. I had a couple that showed up at the farm that was from Vancouver, drove all the way down here just to, as they put it, support our farm. They wanted to purchase pretty much anything we had for sale, which, as you know, we don't have eggs, and the milk is a private herd share program. And so they just wanted to give some love and support and a very generous donation. And so, but those folks and other people that have stopped in have had questions that were like, oh, I guess I kind of assumed that you guys knew that, or that a lot of people knew that. And so we kind of made a list of some of the most common questions, maybe a few more details about us and our story. So let's roll those out and get some clarification.
So a very brief description of the farm history.
Brief description of the farm history. So the farm was started. My grandpa bought a existing raw milk dairy from a gentleman in 1961 here in Nehalem, and I think it was about 90 acres when he first got it. We've grown. My dad and uncle grew it to almost 270 acres, and they worked it for nearly 50 years. Bobby Ray and I came here in 2015, and our predecessors have slowly retired, and in an effort to cash flow and to help them to retire, we've had to borrow money, and the idea was to grow with our co-op, and for reasons, we could maybe even get into later. It's kind of a long story. That wasn't going to work for us to grow. And so we decided to get smaller, go farm direct, and diversify with meat and eggs. And so we've invested everything we had, time and money, and into making that work. And over the course of just short of 2 years, we've grown the milk company to 300 some odd families that we take care of every week, and 5,000 chickens. And so, as most of you know, that we lost the chickens last month due to what we believe is contaminated feed. And so we are, actually, there's something I want to share, but it won't make sense now. It'll make a lot of sense tomorrow. So we're going to try to keep this on track. Let's start with some Q&As.
Perfect. So the size of your farm, a lot of folks are asking, I think with even the amount of money and funds needed to run or to be raised, what size farm do you own and operate?
That's what I mentioned earlier. We had 267 acres.
Okay, perfect. And so what is your experience as a farmer? How old are you, and what is your experience as a farmer?
How old am I? Jeez, how old do I feel? I'm 49 years old, and I grew up on this farm. I was very fortunate. I had an amazing upbringing, and I actually, even though farming's hard, and at certain points, I think growing up, I felt like, man, I'm getting the shaft. My buddies are riding bikes and playing basketball, and I'm working, and But I had a huge love for the farm. I loved everything about it. Loved the cows. I actually liked milking cows. There was a small point where I was maybe not so much, but yeah, I loved it. And so the plan from the time I was about 15 or 16 in my mind was to take this farm over. And the Lord had different plans. I met my perfect wife, and we started a family young, and we ended up leaving the farm. I went to school for a while, and we ended up in Astoria for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And so we there was at one point where I would have bet everything there was no chance and we were ever going to return to the dairy. And again, the Lord had a different plan for us, and we ended up back here, like I said, in 2015, and yeah, we've been running and gunning ever since. So yeah.
How long did it take you to establish Lady B Farms when you added and diversified?
Well, I feel like we kind of started.
Well, I hate to interrupt you. To kind of back up, so you own Myers Brothers and Grazing West Dairy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what you own, and then you started additional companies to diversify. And will you explain a little bit about how that?
Yeah, we
happened?
opened Lady B Farms with like 300 chickens, and which is kind of silly now, looking back, thinking, you know, to really make an impact in the market. To, you know, once you get into a store, if you have a good product, you know, it just 300 is not really considered a commercial egg laying operation, but it was, you know, I think it gave us because it was trial by fire. We were just kind of learning maybe the hard way. I think we found a lot of different ways that things that didn't work until we finally figured out, I guess, what did work. And so
it took, wouldn't you say, agree, about 2.5 years for us to build Lady B Farms to what it was as of a month ago?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I think last month, November, would have been 3 years from the time that we started, even on a small scale. So yeah, it took us 3 years to grow to 5,000 chickens.
Okay, and speaking of that, will you explain in a very tiny nutshell how long it takes a chick from coming out of its shell to being able to be the worthy age of laying an egg that is marketable and sellable?
That's a good question. So what we were told from the hatchery equated to be a little bit different than what it turned out to be for us. Although, to be fair, they did say that there's a lot of different factors, the time of year and what they're fed and protein.
What?
Our experience was 5 months. I'm going to even say.
Okay, 5 months. And
just
so to
plus,
do the math,
5 months plus.
To do the math, at an average of 2,000 birds, what is the cost to purchase 2,000 chicks and get them shipped to Oregon?
So I do have some notes. To get 2,000 chicks would cost us about $6,500 to $7,000.
Okay, and
that's to just get him there on day one.
And how much would it cost to raise them for 5 months before you have a marketable egg for that number of birds, given that they all live, which we know we want a 10 or 15% deficit of.
So we've never raised 2,000 at one time. We've raised 1,500 at one time, and I think I want to say that it was $18,000 to raise 1,500 from, not including the purchase of, but to raise them from day one to market.
Is that feed only or labor as well?
That's feed and labor. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So the next
and
question,
if I'm wrong, I'll clarify that on the next video.
Okay, so the next question that I have for you is, we had a loss with our chickens, and in a, like, the quickest, shortest recap, how did that happen?
I'm sorry.
How did we lose our birds?
The 5,000. How do we lose them?
Yeah.
So we were transporting our feed every week, and we have done that since we started. That was actually for a couple reasons. One, it was fresh. Two, we only had the means of hauling so much feed at one time. And three, for cash flow. We kind of had it down to a science. You buy 7 days worth of feed, and you pay for 7 days worth of feed, and then you just keep that rotation going. And so we tried to outsmart the system and tried to avoid myself having to leave or send someone else. Our regular driver was going to be gone, and we thought, hey, great idea. Let's double or triple our loads over one weekend, and so we don't have to worry about hauling while they're gone. And at least one of those loads took on a pretty good chunk of rain on the way home, and the feed molded and created a mycotoxin. I think it's called an aflatoxin in the feed, which can be highly poisonous. And yeah.
Right, perfect. So, is the feed mill at fault?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because yeah, I have been asked that a few times. Absolutely not. No,
How long have you worked with this feed mill?
I'd say close to 2 years.
Okay, so perfect. The feed mill is not at fault.
Nope.
And we love the company, and if we are able to get back into it, that is the company that we'll partner with. Mm-hmm. Soy-free, corn-free, non-GMO. Next question.
Best chicken feed around.
Do you have any insurance on your farm? Any of your animals, any of your equipment, any of your land?
Yes. We actually got this question a lot. for good reason. I mean, I don't know if people maybe think that we have insurance and forgot we had insurance. I don't know, but no. Yes, we have insurance, and we pay, gosh, just to be honest, about $25,000 a year. That insures our barns, our liability, our tractors, all of our equipment, our commercial auto, etc. So, were the birds insured? No, they were not. Could they have been insured? I suppose, yeah. In my mind, it's common when you have 5,000 chickens, it's common to lose a chicken. It's common to lose 3 chickens. Maybe they get run over by the feed trailer, or we've had a trailer flip over in a storm.
We've lost hundreds in a day from piling as juveniles.
Yeah, growing we've lost, I think it's got to be close to 200, I think was the worst scenario we ever had. These are when they're young growing. Panic situation, maybe the power went out, whatever, they go into a panic and they run into a corner and they pile and they just go to sleep and don't wake up, the ones on the bottom. And so...
Perfect.
Yeah.
Ready for the next question?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's... Paint a quick picture about...
I want to clarify, again, just one last thing. Why the topper is, in my mind, and we did talk briefly about the insuring the birds, but in my mind, the only reason we would ever utilize the, cashing in, if you will, on that is in a worst case scenario, and you never imagine actually having a worst case scenario like we did. So.
And perfect. And so there's a lot of folks that see, okay, you've raised blank amount of money in your first week, and now you can go buy 5,000 chickens and raise them up and get and have your income back. Can you break that down as to how that's not really realistic? Hence, that it took us 3 years to build, 2.5 to 3 years.
We've gotten a lot of that, and just to quickly give praise. I think that we have raised the close to 35,000. I think in just over a week. We'll get you the numbers here.
So to break that down, the question was, why is that not realistic? That all of our birds perished, all but we.
I know where you're going with that. So sorry, and I'll finish the question. The question that we get a lot is that, do you have birds ordered, and how long will you take to get back to 5,000? We are working through this on a day by day. We are trying to we're trying to create a plan, and then we're even tweaking that plan based on plan A, plan B, and plan C.
But the answer to the question though, is it feasible for our farm to rear 5,000 chicks at once? No,
the most we've ever raised is 1,500. I think the most that I would ever be comfortable raising, honestly, would be 1,500. We have a pen that would probably accommodate 2,000, but it's a lot.
How many stages of chick life is there? They're featherless, essentially. And as they grow, you need to accommodate them. And how much space is that going to be to accommodate those birds? Yeah,
it's kind of crazy. Again, part of our learning curve that we were going through was unbelievable. But yeah, you take this pen that's say 20 by 20 or 20 by 40, and this looks like this little tiny blob, these baby chicks, and day by day they're growing, and pretty quick they consume this entire pen. And so you're watching for things like piling and all kinds of stuff. So it's not as simple as people think that you got 30 grand, you're good, you're gonna fix your chickens, and you're gonna, you have to really understand the massive loss that we had when this happened, which was literally overnight. We lost the income, and that is, you can do the math.
Sorry to interrupt you. Just to clarify, the reason that we lost it immediately is because we stopped all sale of our eggs immediately of those.
Yeah, not knowing exactly what was going on, just to err on the side of caution, anything that was dated prior to that was cold storage and utilized through our, farm stand or whatever, or herd share. But everything else was halted and tossed out.
And confirming what you mean by halted is we pulled immediately out of every market we were in.
Yeah, that we stopped. Knowing we can't supply this for very long, and
essentially about the order of about 2 weeks commercially for about 900 eggs, and you can by Oregon law sell those eggs. and they're fresh as can be. And so we had a period of time we could even go back and candle them one more time by Oregon law, and we didn't have to do any of that. But those eggs being sold, clarifying those were not eggs from the day that we had a report off of the dairy that there was off of the farm, pardon me, that there was any loss. We did not sell those eggs.
Right.
Correct. That was another thing that has been questioned. So I know it's almost like I'm rushing you, because the last time we did this video, it was 37 minutes and we couldn't upload it. So if anyone's hearing me thinking, wow, she's pushy, it's to just keep us going to make sure that this video can load, and we're already at 15 and a half minutes.
Okay.
But we want to make
sure.
So
I wanted to address the...
So just to clarify though about the birds, is that it's not feasible to bring them back. Even if we started in February, that would be a 7 months of loss of egg income. Until we had another.
Just like we mentioned, it took us 3 years to get to that. It would take us a year and a half to 2 years to get to 5,000 birds.
Exactly. And so will you explain the financial deficit in a nutshell that we have at this time?
So instantly we lost about $30,000 a month. And so if we could get 5,000 chickens tomorrow, and it took us 5 months to get a full-size market egg to market, that's $150,000 plus the cost of the birds and the cost of raising them is, so you can see pretty quickly, how did you come up with $250,000? I think it could have been higher. We were given a couple of suggestions, was to say, start smaller, and then if you hit the goal, then you keep raising it. But we're like, no, we're gonna just be upfront. This is about transparency. This is our goal, and we're gonna swing for the fence, and that's what we've done so far.
So why are we asking and hoping to raise that amount of money? That's a lot of money.
Because that's what we need. That's what we need to fix the shortfall that we have due to the loss of the eggs, and the cost it would take to rebuild.
And if we cannot rebuild fast enough to be stable in our company, what are we now looking to focus on besides bringing in a adequate amount of birds? What's our focus for income?
So we're going to double down on the milk. We have the cattle, we have the milk, and in fact, it's actually a perfect storm right now, because we have a lot of cows that are coming fresh, and their milk is increasing, and won't be long and the cows will be on spring grass. And so we're really going to try to focus on the website and in hopes of growing the milk side to pick things up to help cover that shortfall while we're replacing our chickens.
Okay, so that being said, we have two more. Oh, sorry, Captain. He is so sassy. We have two more questions left. So we've raised nearly $33,000 in 7 days. This is excellent. However, can you share what you are doing with the funds in the immediate?
Well, most of the funds we haven't even been able to access, if I'm honest. It took a minute to figure out how to do that, and then you have to be.
Well, it took a minute for them to verify us.
Yeah,
they're as in GoFundMe.
Yeah.
But the funds that we've received via cash or Venmo or check, what are you doing with funds immediately? What's our status of our situation?
So right now it feels like a mad scientist, just constantly trying to figure out, I think we were pretty transparent before that we were really needing this as an opportunity, prior to losing the birds, of going, okay, we're getting these eggs to market. We need to sell every egg that comes through here. And, this is our time to shine. This is our time to get caught up and to get ahead. And so when that stopped so quickly, we felt it immediately. And I think that was where it was like, we're in trouble. And so right now the funds that we have coming in we're trying to be very methodical. We got a few fires we have to put out pretty quickly, but otherwise it's simply going into general cash flow. And we will be able to make a decision tomorrow if we're able to get some birds. If we are, that'll be in the next few days. And obviously that the money that we've received will assist in that. But right now it's just covering for the loss of eggs, or egg income that we've had. And going forward, we're just kind of going forward in faith. And
if we did not be in agreement to set up a campaign, what would be our option?
if we hadn't started a GoFundMe.
Yes, what was our option?
I don't think we had an option. I just don't think that. I don't think we'd have had an option.
And what is the operating cost on average each month here on the farm?
I would say conservatively, over $50,000 a month.
All right. So the last question is going to be, unless you think of something at the last moment, what happens in 90 days if our goal is not met?
We have been asked that. I was just asked that a few days ago. What happens if you don't reach the 250,000? It doesn't mean that we're just simply not going to make it. But if we don't come pretty close, then I don't know. This is again, we're trying to go forward in faith. It's crazy, in the first few, I think in the first day it was 2 days, I was like, oh man, I'm looking at the stuff coming in and the phone calls and the text messages, and so I'm kind of thinking I can see this, 250,000. I don't know, maybe half, maybe a third, I don't know, we'll see. So we're constantly, this is an ever evolving situation with a ever evolving plan, right? That's kind of business in a nutshell. But something like this, we are committed to continue to stay faithful in sharing our story and continuing to spread the word. We have a lot of people that are saying, hey, post here, share with this person, that we've just a lot of suggestions, and we're trying to take all that in and do the best we can to keep spreading the word. So I think that's a lot of it. I just got a call from someone from Southern Oregon that said, you don't know me, I don't really know you, but I saw your story and I'm sending you some donation money, and don't stop, don't quit, just words of encouragement, which I thought was great. So this was just 2 days ago. So people are still learning about it, I guess is my point.
May I ask kind of what could seem like a harsh or awkward thing, but it's a real thing, of the people that, even people that we know that have questioned our integrity or have questioned why would we feel like people should just give their hard-earned money to us? Why are we deserving of that? You have a goal to ask. And everyone can come up with their own assumptions, their own heart about their own decision, but it's really based on why did we feel that it was appropriate to share our story and ask if people felt led to help us. Why would you feel comfortable asking for such an unbelievable amount of funding?
I wasn't comfortable in the beginning. It was very difficult for me to ask for help. And I think because the enemy wants you to believe, and I think that you can see this in a lot of things in life, that this is your thing, this is your issue, and you can figure it out. And so I just felt like I don't have a choice. I have to come clean about all the details about what happened, and I have to ask for help and give people that option. I would say 99 out of 100, if not 99.9 people have been unbelievably kind and supportive and encouraging. We've had a couple of folks that, like someone said, I think it was, how could you get your farm for free and then ask for donations when things aren't working out? And so that's just a silly, uninformed comment. We certainly didn't. Nothing is free. Let's just put it that way.
Was this something that you had planned, that you were kind of sitting on, waiting for the day to launch this?
Yeah. This has been our secret plan the whole time. Is to,
No, and not to be sarcastic, but I do think sometimes it's important to not feed the negative, but to also speak up, because sometimes I think that people's imaginations can run wild. It takes one or two people to drop something in the pot, if you will, and it could really sour the whole recipe. And so to answer for our own selves, I think, is really important, and I appreciate that and I admire that. Is there any other things that you think about?
No, other than we have had a really rough couple of days, and I'm really anxious to share some of this with you guys. I think tomorrow, no later than the following day, we'll bring you up to speed. But it's been rough. But I still am very grateful and optimistic with the love and support that we've got. So thank you guys very much.
We appreciate you
Hope
guys.
that wasn't too much of just a rattle on, drag on.
No, you did amazing.
Anytime I talk about cows or farming, I can talk a lot. And so I tend to go off into left field.
You didn't do anything left field. It's a lot to talk about. It's a lot to address. And so those who are interested will listen, and those who
even being on video, this is something that is not it's way out of my comfort zone. It's something that a lot of things I'd rather do than to be sitting in front of a video camera. And so I think that I'm being challenged to be outside of my comfort zone a little bit too. So thank you for your kindness and your love and support, guys.
Yes. Thank you guys. Have a
Good
blessed night.